think I came back? This is personal.
You're the most wanted man on the planet.
One last fight.
Dude. In this world, we all write our own stories. We create our own destinies.
It will be difficult and dangerous than you think.
Burns good or burns bad? It burns good.
I'm in.
Everyone, welcome back. Charlie here, and we'll break down a significant portion of the Rowdy's Skrull storyline from the new Secret Invasion trailer that was recently released. I'll explain what's going on with that, and I know there are a lot of other questions about what's going on with Ke Huy Quan and Michelle Yeoh during this too, because both of them are big much action in Loki Season 2 and Shang-Chi 2. During this will also help set up the Iron Man Armor Wars movie. Finally, this also set up a lot of other stuff that's separate from the whole Kong storyline. This is more Earth-based stuff that it's setting up during Marvel Phase 5 in the Dark Reign era of the general movies that are happening in the next couple of years. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to get all the episodes. I will be doing full episode videos for Secret Invasion when it starts in couple years. But one of the most significant brand new scenes here is when Emilia Clarke's character Gia enters this chamber that evil Skrulls, the bad faction of Skrulls, were building in all the previous trailers in this decommissioned Russian nuclear power plant. They're using the power plant to power their device. Here she activates it and energy surrounds her, and it looks like a classic Marvel power upgrade type of scene, like a big glow-up power upgrade for the energy in the device. The leader of the evil faction of Skrulls, Gravik, claims that the younger generation is attempting to transform into super Skrulls in order to acquire powers that the older generation, such as Talos's group of good Skrulls, do not possess, making them somewhat more like the Skrulls that invaded Earth. This is one of the major things that is happening during this time. During the original comic book Invasion, the villains and heroes of the X-Men and Avengers were all capable of being imitated. The idea is that they're just extremely angry that Nick Fury hasn't helped them find a permanent place to settle and call their own. There will be a lot of comments about this as well. Emilia Clarke is playing Gia Talos's daughter. She is similar to the little girl from the Captain Marvel movie who is just now grown up. Nick Fury had plenty of time during the 1990s and the early 2000s before the events of the first Avengers movie to simply find a different planet somewhere in the universe for the Skrulls to live on. Even though it seemed like he's been hiding out on his space station because he doesn't know what to do and hasn't assembled the new Avengers yet. Because Nick Fury essentially promised them a new home but never delivered on it, the younger generation of Skrulls is like, fine, we'll just take the Earth for ourselves then. And it seems like a big part of Skrulls are like, fine, we'll just take that plot as giving themselves more powers, like turning the Earth into a giant Skrull. So during a lot of the previous trailers, you hear Emilia Clarke's character telling him to create this problem. This is your fault. There have been numerous rumors that Emilia Clarke's character will eventually resemble comic book Abigail Brand. Among her alleged new abilities is the capacity to produce green energy or fire, which is similar to Brand's X-Men powers in the comics. I believe this is part of the plan. She will replace Nick Fury as his right-hand person on this Saber space station. She will use the name, Abigail Brand, but only as an alias name. You can see her carting her father Talos's body as he is being attacked here. I'm not sure if he will survive. She has been shown in a lot of fan art as Abigail Brand, obviously. She wouldn't look precisely like this when she's working with Nick Mirror in the future, but you kind of get the impression that she would play a much bigger role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, in the same way that Kit Harington did. Another Game of Thrones alumnus, the Black Knight will grow in importance in the MCU, and it will be hilarious to see them share a scene. One significant departure from the comics, even though they have this entire plot here where the Skrulls are trying to give themselves more powers, evolve themselves into super Skrulls, is that instead of saying, "I don't want whatever Gia Amelia character is trying to give me," the Black Knight will say, "I don't want whatever you're trying to kill me." The Skrulls that invaded during the comic book invasion were able to duplicate all of Earth's heroes' abilities, but normal Skrulls are simply able to change their appearance in order to stop duplicating similar skills. Beyond that, the original Super Skrull was only intended to be one guy, and his name was Kalert. This is why it was such a unique thing, because the Super Skrull was only ever intended to be one character. He began as an ordinary Skrull trooper in their army, decorated for his courage and battle prowess. After falling from favor, he was exiled, and to further tie the situation to the secret invasion, Emperor Doric Woe, the previous emperor, had the original plan for the Skrulls' covert invasion before Princess Faraki, the person who actually pulled it off, arrived. This brings us back to the Fantastic Four, because Super Skrull originated from Fantastic Four Cosmic, and Emperor Doric was actually the one who attempted to invade Earth in the comics back in Fantastic Four #2 in 1961. That's how far back the Fantastic Four managed to stop the invasion, and after that, he basically grafts all of their powers onto Kalert, turning him into a Skrull with actual special powers, as opposed to most of the Skrulls at the time who only had the ability to change into and just had basic super strength as part of their biology. Their bodies are a little bit stronger, more resilient than human bodies, in the way that all regular Asgardians who don't have special powers. The same is true of Loki's character now, as Loki and Thor are distinct because they actually possess particular abilities, such as Loki practices magic. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor actually possesses celestial god powers, however they have been slightly altered to give all the newer Skrulls, such as the younger generation, specific abilities and more developed bodies. Rhodey is the way this all sort of connects to the Iron Man, Armor Wars movie. I thought the idea was that this version of Rhodey that might end up being a Skrull, if that's true, has been a Skrull for years, and Skrull Rhodey has been using his access to the present. Like in the last trailer, it sounds like he says very Skrull-like things like "you better be ready, talk talk." They might find out what happened to the real Rhodey year ago. The Skrulls have been using their access to the present to help destabilize the world, essentially. I think part of Graphic and the evil Skrulls' plan to take over the Earth was to have humans basically destroy themselves. When the series picks up, Rhodey is supposed to be the Secretary of State, sort of taking Thunderbolt Ross's previous job and becoming the US President's right-hand man. The real Rhodey returns in the Iron Man Armor War series to deal with that and take it out of the hands of the government like the comic book Armor Wars series, so don't be surprised if Damage Control winds up being one of the villains. For example, create nuclear assured destruction, and as part of that, Skrull Rhodey's action allows all of Iron Man's technology to get into the hands of villains around the world, as well as Val and Thunderbolt Ross, who start misusing it. While watching the Armor War series, you can see how Thunderbolt and Val ultimately contributed to a lot of this bad stuff happening during the Armor Wars, in the same way that Sword kind of evolved into backdoor villains during the One Division series, or at least people within those organizations, during the original comic book Armor Wars. In fact, the US government actually used some stolen Stark tech to create their own armor suit, Ironmonger style, like a real big one called Firepower, which Iron Man ultimately had to destroy. The idea is that during Marvel's Phase 5, Thunderbolt Ross eventually becomes President of the United States. Valo is now in charge of the CIA, and they're using it to turn the United States into something more Aki. Damage Control used Stark Tech drones and Edith drones during the Miss Marvel series. They just repainted them to look a little bit different, but they were meant to be the same drones going after regular citizens instead of just regular criminals. The notion behind Iron Man's Avengers Age of Ultron remark, "I'd like to wrap that world in a suit of armor," is that he has become paranoid and wished to overprotect everyone at the expense of their individual liberties. Ross and Val are simply acting in this manner to complete their tasks. Back Justin Hammer. The Armor Wars movie doesn't yet have a release date, so it'll probably end up being a Marvel Phase 6 film. During the Armor War series, they can just say that he's actually working for Thunderbolt Ross and Val, and things start to go crazy with the armors getting out of control. There will be a few minor delays due to the strike that is currently taking place, but they will be much less severe than the super delays and chaos brought on by the virus, which ended up delaying nearly all films and television programs from every studio for about 2 years and was discussed in relation to the characters played by Ke Huy Quan and Michelle Yeoh in the MCU. Ke is portraying a brand new character. They simply didn't go there throughout the events of Loki Season 1, thus that's why we didn't see him. He's the primary tech guy of TVA and has been working there essentially forever during Loki Season 2 named Ouroboros. When Shang-Chi is prepared for release, Michelle Yeoh's character will just continue. If you have any major questions about what's happening during Secret Invasion or the related series or movie, just post them in the comments below as there are a lot of important videos. They don't yet have a release date, but it'll likely also end up being a Marvel Phase 6 movie. Thank you for watching. Get ready for another surprising movie experience. And subscribe and be part of the surprise reveal.